Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Jana and I am here to do more Q&A. I get lots of questions via email or through my website or on YouTube, Instagram, DMs. And I love that. Please keep them coming. But what I like to do is answer them in video format whenever I can, so that I can either copy and paste a link into someone's email and say, here, I've answered this to the best of my ability in this video. Or sometimes, I do send personal emails back, especially when I'm working with someone one-on-one to help them with whatever. A lot of bonding issues really is one thing I help people a lot with online. But without further ado, we want to tackle a question that I get quite often. That is about primary enclosures versus free roam. Now, let me first explain that this is one of those huge misunderstandings, in my view, in the online world of everybody's a rabbit expert. And I say that not to diminish in any way the expertise that does exist out there, but said over and over and over, part of the curse of social media is that anyone can open, anyone can have Facebook, anyone can open Instagram. Even though there are age restrictions on YouTube, we have 6- and 7-year-olds on YouTube giving adults advice on life stuff. I mean, we're living in a crazy world right now. With that being the case, there are some topics that may be benign, there just may not be any repercussions to it. But when it comes to dealing with other living things and best care practices for domesticated rabbits and your pet rabbit, you want to be very, very careful where you get your information from. To tackle the question of do my rabbits free roam or do they have primary space, the first thing I would have to say right out of the gate is, what is free roam? I know there are a lot of responsible rabbit owners, caretakers, that do let their rabbits have free roam around their house, but they are responsible about it. They've got bunny proofing in place. There is no chance their rabbit's ever going to get a burned mouth or tongue or die from electric shock, because these people have gone around and done their due diligence to bunny proof and cover their cords and pull cords up out of the way and attach them to the wall so that the rabbits can't get to them. They're not letting their rabbits sit there and eat the sheetrock off the walls, that can happen, yes. But as a general rule, there are things that we as bunny owners, rabbit owners, should do if we're going to allow our rabbits to roam free, have free roam in the house. So that's one kind of box that people are in, is some rabbit owners choose to let their rabbits have free roam in the house. The only problem I see with that, other than people who don't bunny proof, I think that's incredibly irresponsible, and it's not fair to your animal not to prepare the area. These rabbits are biters, chewers, hoppers, burrowers, diggers. They will chew your house to the ground if you let them. And a lot of the materials that they would chew or ingest are going to harm them. And that's why we bunny proof. And I actually have a whole section about bunny proofing in my book by Jana Brock called Bunny Conversations, the Entertaining Dialogue of Pet Rabbits. A lot of people think that book is just for fun and it's a bunch of the bunnies talking back and forth, and it is. But it is also a documentation of best care practices, rabbit ownership 101, all the way up to tips and tricks for experienced rabbit owners. There's a lot of great information in that book. Free roam, those people who have bunny proofed, there's nothing that can harm. They don't let their bunny get up under the couch where they could get up in the springs. Someone sits on the springs, you see what could happen there. There's just a lot about bunny proofing that people don't think about. Very good documentation in my book, Bunny Conversations, about that. That's one box, the people that have free roam, their rabbits go everywhere. Hopefully in that one box, the people that belong to that category and are able to do that or want to do that for their rabbits, or around to supervise enough time to make that safe for their home and the animal, have a primary space for the rabbit anyway. Because let me tell you something about rabbits, and this is where the whole, you see conversations about somebody sharing this really great enclosure that really big spaces like what I have here for my rabbits. Super big spaces, ample spaces. They can run back and forth, they can hop, they can play, they can, binky, they can the spaces that the enclosures that I have for the bunnies are appropriate for their size, but it also gives them a home base. Sometimes on social media, I've noticed somebody sharing this really great space they've built for their rabbit, and somebody who, sorry, hasn't done the proper research or is relying on rumors or is going with the latest fad, which is always dangerous, especially in a world like ours where there's so much bad information being circulated. Somebody will interject and say, oh, my bunny's free roam. I don't ever let him be in an enclosure. Well, I don't know, I can't say what the intent of all those type of comments are, but I can tell you from having experience with lots of different breeds, I care for these animals hands-on 24 hours a day, after surgery, before surgery, when they're bonding, when they've been abused by their prior owners, whatever the situation is. I've had kind of a wide breadth of experience in the last many years. I can tell you that 100% of the bunnies in my care, 100% of them always, no matter how long they stayed here, was given what I call free roam access to an entire room or two rooms or in a room down the hallway plus the hallway and the bathroom. However much space that bunny had to roam free in, the bunny always, always, always came back to home base. And that home base is a primary enclosure. When you study the biology of a rabbit and when you really dig into the science of how they were made, it's not just space that they need. This is the problem I have with people who use rabbits for industrial purposes, or, I don't want to judge. People eat all kinds of things on the planet. I'm a vegetarian for health choices. I have problems with meat, and it's been so many years now. Even the thought of meat just makes me gag. So it's not for me, it's not a political thing, and it's not a PETA thing, and it's not a fly my flag kind of a thing. I just prefer to eat vegetarian. That's all. And I don't feel like it's my place to judge everybody who doesn't. And that's just kind of how I view it. However, when it comes to, I don't even like to talk about this because I believe these animals are domesticated. They're for pet use, and that's all they should be used for. But I don't get my way in the world. It's not going to help for me to hammer other people over the head who don't believe as I do. I learned that a long time ago. That comes with age and experience, I believe. But what I will say about that is the rabbits that I have seen used in industrial purposes, farming purposes, even some 4-H purposes, these rabbits, a lot of them, not all of them, don't get offended if your kid's in 4-H or whatever. Some of you are teaching your kids properly. Some of your ag teachers are teaching kids properly, and I appreciate that, respect. But a lot are not. And a lot of times these bunnies that are being used for whatever are stuck in cages, and that's how they live their whole life. And the ones that are used for meat purposes, they don't get out of their cage. To me, they're abused and they're neglected. They're definitely overcaged. These are warren animals, and warren doesn't just mean a network of underground tunnels. Yes, it does mean that for rabbits in the wild, but warren also means they're social group animals. They tend to collect together in groups. Given that the base of their nature, even your pet rabbit, no matter how many alterations have been made to create new breeds and colors and fur patterns and coats, at his base nature is a warren animal. When they go to sleep, if they're not inside of a tunnel or inside of a crate, which I leave the doors open when I have crates for rabbits so that they can go in and out. And I don't use those little rabbit kind either because their little paws can get stuck. There's all kinds of problems with those. Anyway, I use big dog crates. The biggest crates you can buy online for $100 a piece or whatever, that's what each one of my rabbits have as their primary enclosure. And then they get fences around them. If you've seen my videos, you know that I build them primary enclosures, and they're quite large, and they have yards, and they all get their own little kind of apartment complex-y type space. 100% of the rabbits here, 100% of the rabbits that I've taken care of will go run, play binky, do their free roam thing, or take their time to do their exercise, usually for 10, 15, 20 minutes. And then, as any experienced rabbit owner knows, it's nap time. Rabbits take between 18 and 21 naps a day. Sometimes some have recorded up to 24 naps a day. When their nap time comes, their fluffy little bottoms either up against the wall with pointed outwards They do that because of their base nature out in the wild. They're a prey animal and they're always keeping guard for predators. You'll notice they also sleep with their eyes open, a lot of them. Or they go into their primary enclosure. Why? Because it's a tunnel-like warren protection space for them. When I hear people really ranting about this free roam versus primary space, primary enclosure issue, I think it just is a matter of a lack of education and a lack of understanding these animals. They haven't worked with different breeds. They haven't studied the biology. They haven't pulled up the source documents, many of which are kind of expensive. There's a process. For those of you who are trained researchers, you know what I mean. It's just, when it comes to biology of rabbits and what's best for these animals, it helps very much to pull the science and see what was the study actually done on. Was it even about pet rabbits, like the wood shavings study that was done? A lot of holes in that. The wire bottom caging, that's another thing. You know, pull that study up and read it, where all this misinformation came from about wire bottom cages. And no, I don't use them, I never will. Just bad rumor after bad rumor after bad rumor. And I think that sometimes the misinformation gets so rampant that it becomes almost a fad. And that's what I have seen happen with this free roam versus this primary enclosure issue. Somebody, you know, it's almost like an air of better than to have your bunny free roam than when you see somebody who has a primary enclosure, which bunnies really need. They really need a home base to go back to. They need a place of protection, like this is my space. My understanding is dogs and cats need that too. I'm not a specialty in dogs and cats. My family has dogs and cats, but with rabbits, it's extremely important that they have that. And I'm not saying they have to be caged in 24 hours a day. Anybody who's studied my stuff knows I'm against over caging. I don't even ever put my rabbits in a cage and close the doors. I just don't do that. You know, unless I'm vacuuming, or unless there's something going on in the house that's dangerous that they could get into, they stay out, and they have huge areas to run around in, but they're all fenced in. The areas are all contained. Like, they cannot get into anything that's going to hurt them. And that's my responsibility as a rabbit owner, as a researcher, as someone who distributes best care practices for pet rabbit ownership. That's my commitment, is that I keep these animals as safe as possible, try to quell the information that has gone around about them that's not true. There's many free roam bunnies that I see the videos online. I see the videos, either their house is messy, they've got cords laying all over the place where their bunny can have access. They're letting their bunny hide under the couch. And just for those of you who don't know, and this is also in my book, Bunny Conversations, if you flip over a couch, look at the underside, and this goes for sitting chairs as well in your living room, there's a fiberglass membrane under there, and your rabbit's going to chew through that. And he's going to get bits of fiberglass down his throat. Not only that, then he's got a hole. And why is he doing that? Because rabbits, again, we're back full circle, are warren animals. They look for little cubby hiding spaces. They want that protection. They want places to hide. Whether you have primary enclosures or free run, on the side of primary enclosures, please make sure they have free space to run around in. Rabbits need lots of space. Their biology demands that they run, jump, and play lots of times every day. They need space in order to do that. And on the free roam side, if you have an area where you want your bunny to free roam and you want that kind of interaction with your pets all the time, you don't mind little poops or dig marks everywhere, then I would just say, number one, don't put other people down for not doing a full house free roam. There are many reasons why people wouldn't and don't do that. But number two, make sure you have bunny-proofed. Thank you guys for coming by. I hope this helps. I was a little bit all over the place in some parts, but it's a big issue and it's super controversial. And I'd really like to see the tides turn on all this arguing about free roam versus primary enclosures. There's good and bad on each side, and some people do it right, a lot of people don't on either side. So that's what I have observed anyway. Have a great day, and thanks for stopping by.